Learn English through story. The Garden of Lost Dreams. In the heart of an ancient town, nestled between towering stone buildings and narrow cobblestone streets, there lay a garden that few people ever noticed. It was hidden behind a high, ivy-covered wall, with only a small, weathered wooden gate marking its entrance. The garden was known by the townsfolk as the Garden of Lost Dreams, a place shrouded in mystery and legend. It was said that those who entered the garden would find themselves face to face with the dreams they had abandoned over the years, forgotten or left behind in the pursuit of more practical endeavors. One crisp autumn evening, a man named Elias found himself standing before the gate of this very garden. Elias was a middle-aged man, respected in the town for his hard work and dedication. He was the owner of a successful carpentry business, known for crafting fine furniture that adorned the homes of the wealthy. Despite his success, there was a deep, unspoken sadness within him, a sense of longing that he could never quite shake. As Elias stood before the gate, he hesitated. He had heard the stories of the garden as a child, but he had never given them much thought. He had always been practical, focused on the tangible aspects of life via his work, his responsibilities, his duties. Dreams were for the foolish or the idle, he had often told himself. But now, as he gazed at the gate, something inside him stirred, a faint whisper of curiosity that urged him to push open the gate and step inside. With a deep breath, Elias reached out and pushed the gate open. It creaked on its hinges, revealing a narrow path lined with overgrown bushes and flowers that seemed to glow faintly in the twilight. He stepped inside, letting the gate close softly behind him, and began to walk along the path. The air was thick with the scent of earth and blossoms, and the only sound was the rustling of leaves in the gentle breeze. As he walked deeper into the garden, Elias began to notice things that made his heart ache with a strange mixture of nostalgia and regret. He saw a broken violin lying among the roots of an ancient tree. Its strings snapped and its wood faded with time. He recognized it immediately as the instrument he had once played with such passion as a young man, before he had set it aside to focus on his carpentry. Nearby, a sketchbook lay open on a stone bench, its pages yellowed and brittle. The drawings inside were his, rough sketches of designs he had dreamed of creating but had never found the time to bring to life. Elias continued to walk, and with each step, more lost dreams appeared before him. A canvas leaning against the wall, half covered in dust, reminded him of the paintings he had once wanted to create. A pair of worn dancing shoes, tucked beneath a bush, brought back memories of the nights he had spent dancing with his first love, long before life had grown too busy and complicated. As he wandered through the garden, Elias felt the weight of all these lost dreams bearing down on him. He had worked so hard, accomplished so much, but at what cost? These were the dreams he had abandoned along the way, sacrificed on the altar of practicality and responsibility. He had always told himself that he was doing the right thing, that he had to focus on what was important to building a stable life, providing for his family, making a name for himself. But now, standing in this garden of lost dreams, he realized just how much he had given up. Elias found himself standing before a small, neglected fountain in the center of the garden. The water had long since stopped flowing, and the stone was cracked and weathered. He sat down on the edge of the fountain, feeling a deep sadness settle over him. He had achieved so much, yet he felt as though he had lost something precious along the way. The dreams he had once cherished had withered and faded, and now all that was left was the hollow shell of a man who had forgotten how to dream. As Elias sat in silence, he became aware of a presence beside him. He looked up to see an old woman standing there, her eyes kind but filled with a wisdom that made him feel like a child. She was dressed in simple clothes, and her hair was silver, but there was something timeless about her, as though she had seen and understood things far beyond the comprehension of ordinary people. "You've found your way to the garden," the old woman said softly, her voice carrying the weight of countless years. Elias nodded, unable to find the words to respond. The old woman sat down beside him on the edge of the fountain, and for a long moment, they sat in silence together, listening to the wind rustling through the trees. "I can see the sadness in your eyes," the old woman said finally. "You've lost something along the way, haven't you?" Elias swallowed, his throat tight. "Yeah, a broken bar. I didn't mean to. Life just a broken bar happened. There were responsibilities, things I had to do. I couldn't afford to waste time on dreams." The old woman nodded, as if she understood. Life has a way of making us forget the things that once mattered most to us. We get caught up in the day-to-day struggles, the need to survive, to succeed, and we forget the dreams that once gave us joy. But those dreams don't disappear, Elias. They linger, waiting for us to remember them. Elias felt a lump in his throat as he thought of all the things he had set aside over the years, the passions he had once pursued with such fervor. "It's too late for me," he said quietly. "I can't go back and change things. I've made my choices." The old woman placed a gentle hand on his shoulder. "It's never too late, Elias. The dreams you've lost may be gone, but there's always the possibility of new dreams. Life is not about holding on to the past, but about finding the courage to create a new future." Elias looked into the old woman's eyes and saw a glimmer of hope there, a spark that ignited something deep within him. He had spent so many years focused on what he thought he had to do, on the responsibilities and expectations that had been placed upon him. But now, sitting in this garden of lost dreams, he realized that he still had the power to choose, to dream, to create a new path for himself. "But how?" he asked, his voice trembling with uncertainty. "How do I find new dreams when I've forgotten how to dream?" The old woman smiled, a warm and comforting smile that made Elias feel as though he were being wrapped in a blanket of love and understanding. "You start by listening to your heart, Elias. The dreams you seek are not lost forever. They are simply waiting for you to rediscover them. Pay attention to the things that bring you joy, that make your heart sing. Follow those feelings, and you will find new dreams to pursue." Elias closed his eyes and took a deep breath, letting the old woman's words sink in. For so long, he had ignored the whispers of his heart, focusing instead on the demands of the world around him. But now, sitting in this forgotten garden, he felt a flicker of something long buried, a desire to create, to express, to live fully once again. When he opened his eyes, the old woman was gone, and the garden around him seemed to glow with a soft, golden light. Elias stood up, feeling lighter than he had in years. The sadness was still there, but it was tempered by a new sense of purpose, a determination to find the dreams he had lost and to create new ones. As he walked back through the garden, he no longer saw the broken remnants of his past dreams as symbols of failure, but as reminders of the passion and creativity that still lived within him. He knew that the road ahead would not be easy, that he would have to work hard to rediscover the joy he had once known. But he also knew that he was not alone, that the garden of lost dreams would always be there to guide him, to remind him of what truly mattered. Elias left the garden that evening with a renewed sense of hope. He returned to his life, but he was no longer the same man who had entered the garden. He began to make changes, small at first, but gradually growing bolder. He took time to play his violin again, to sketch out new designs, to reconnect with the passions he had once loved. And as he did, he found that his work, his relationships, and his life began to take on a new vibrancy, a richness that he had never known before. The townsfolk noticed the change in Elias, but they didn't understand it. They saw a man who had once been driven by ambition and success now finding joy in simple things, in moments of quiet reflection, in the beauty of creation. But Elias didn't mind. He knew that he had found something far more valuable than success or recognition. He had found the courage to dream again. And so, as the years passed, Elias continued to visit the Garden of Lost Dreams, not to mourn what he had lost, but to celebrate what he had found. He knew that life would always be filled with challenges and responsibilities, but he also knew that there was always room for dreams, for creativity, for the simple joys that made life worth living. And in that garden, he found the strength to keep dreaming, to keep living, and to keep creating a life that was truly his own. The moral of this story is that it's never too late to rediscover the dreams we've lost along the way. Life may be filled with responsibilities and challenges, but true fulfillment comes from finding the courage to follow our hearts and pursue the passions that bring us joy. I hope you enjoyed the story. If you enjoyed, then please like and share this video, and don't forget to subscribe our YouTube channel. Thank you for watching.